ॐ जयति जगति माया यस्य कायादवस्थे वचनरचनमेकं केवलं चाकलय्य ध्रुवपदमपि यातो यत्कृपातो ध्रुवोऽयं सकलकुशलपात्रं ब्रह्मपुत्रं नतोऽस्मि. Last Monday we studied up to Sutra 24 from the Narad Bhakti Sutras, and that completed second section of the first chapter. And some people have asked a little more clarification of Sutra 22, 23 and 24. I have replied to them on email, but let me tell something more here. Now, Narada is telling here, he has described the Swarupa beautifully. After that, he is telling the Rupa, that means the Lakshanani. And he has told in the beginning itself that Lakshanani will be many according to the minds of the people. Pujadishu, Kathadishu, Atmaratira Virodhana. And then he gives his own comprehensive Lakshanas. And there he says, Naradastu, Tadarpita Akila Charata, 19 I'm reading. Tadarpita Akila Charata, Tadvismarane Parama Vyakulata iti. Acharata, that means the habit or the characteristics or the nature or swabhava of having dedicated every action of theirs. I would add every thought, every vibration in the mind, every action of theirs dedicated to the Lord. And Tat Arpita, Tat is the reality, call it by any name, you call it Lord or Bhagwan or God or Atman or reality, the whole thing is dedicated to Him. And we have seen this. We are not going to discuss it again. But, and the second point was that in case of Vismaran, which never happens in such a bhakta, but the lessening of intensity is there. And in that case, Parama Vyakulata. And we have seen Sri Ramakrishna's own example, though he is far above this ideal devotee, but as an example we saw that. And then Narada said, there are a lot of examples, though may not be known to us, but if we open our eyes and look into the world, we'll get a lot of these examples where every action is dedicated to God, where every thought, every little chance of Vismaran produces Paramavyakulata. And then, as the brightest example, or one of the examples, brightest, he says, Yatha Vrajagopikanam. Now this Vrajagopikanam example immediately is subject to criticism by many people. Two types of people mainly. One is they find fault without understanding. When one criticizes one, when one doesn't understand. Without understanding Hinduism, Vaishnavism, or Krishna, there are many people who criticize it. I have heard Christians talking, Krishna is your God, he had 16,000 wives. You do not understand what is what. There are second type of people, deliberately knowing everything, they criticize Hinduism or Krishna or Vaishnavism, deliberately. Now, other side, not criticizing, but misusing, misunderstanding. I was talking of misunderstanding. Those who call Krishna Bhaktas themselves, the Vaishnavas, a lot of them totally misunderstand and they start behaving There have been sects like that in Vaishnavism, Karta Bhaja and other sects, where the indulgence, physical, between man and woman is supported on the basis of Krishna. So now it is mutual. Mutual means because of these people, the criticism on the other side grows. They forget that the physicality is absent there. I told you this in one way that Sri Krishna's age when he went away from Vrindavan was 12 years. Sri Ramakrishna has described it wonderfully well. He said that gopis, when they saw Krishna or in his company, his description I am telling, in every pore of the body, they experience 1 crore, crore means 10 million times the joy which a woman feels during sex. 10 million times joy they felt in each pore of their body by looking at Krishna. And so, you may conclude they did not require any physical sex there. Now, this we told, Narada told in 22, 23 and 24. Na tatrapi mahatma jnanam smriti apavada. Today I am going to tell it from the Krishna point of view. Gopis never forgot that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. That we have seen. But what about Krishna himself? I told you as of 12 years of age, what is that? And the answer is given in Bhagavatam itself. And a great devotee, Raja Parikshit, felt it out. And who is describing this? First of all, Shukadeva was purity itself. Paramahamsa Agrani, Shukadeva. He is describing this Krishna Leela to King Parikshit. Now at that point, Parikshit asks him, Lord comes to this earth to establish religion. How is it Krishna played with the women of Praja? How this establishes religion? To that Shukadeva replied, those who want to take down, please take down this life. Reme Ramesho Vrajasundari bhi Reme Ramesho Vrajasundari bhi Yatha Arvaka Swapratibimba Vibrama. I will explain to you. Yatha Arvaka Swapratibimba Vibrama. Arvaka means infant, small child. Now, if you have seen or not, you have to imagine. I have seen in the city of Indore in India, Seth Hukumchand had created 2 palaces. And they used to be called Sheesh Mahal and Kach Mahal. One palace has all glass only everywhere. The other palace were mirrors everywhere. Now imagine. Now, I do not know about the ladies and their booty, but people, men, who have visited cutting saloon, they can easily understand this. There is a mirror in front, there is a mirror at back. How many images you see? Infinity. The image of this mirror goes to that mirror. The image of that mirror, this mirror goes into that mirror, and there are infinite reflections. Now, if everywhere there are mirrors, not only front and back, on all sides there are mirrors only. Visualize, imagine this. And a small child, infant child is sitting there, sitting or standing or whatever. Because he is infant, he does not understand. What he thinks is, you have seen in small TV shows or anywhere, a child standing in front of a mirror feels he is there. And then he goes to the backside to see who is there. There is nobody. Again he comes in front of the mirror. Such scene you must have seen. Now, a child is standing in a room where everywhere there are mirrors. What he is seeing? His own reflection. He does not see as reflection. He sees himself everywhere. And out of joy he dances and claps. How? He himself is everywhere. But he sees that. He does not analyze and find out, oh, it is a reflection. Arvaka, infant, Swapratibimba Vibrama. Vibrama means deluded by his own reflections. Like that, what this example? Like that, Reme Ramesho Vrajasundarivi. Reme means enjoyed or played or whatever you like to call it. Ramesho. Ramesho means is the husband of Lakshmi, maybe in his original nature or later on in his life. But his name has become Ramesha. Reme, enjoyed or indulged. Vraja Sundari in the beautiful women of Vraja. Understand? The gopis' minds were absolutely pure, their hearts. Gopis' hearts were absolutely pure. Otherwise, they could not have ventured this. Now, in that absolutely pure heart, Shri Krishna is seeing himself reflected fully. So, he is not at all indulging in woman. He, like an infant looking into himself, he is seeing himself in all these hearts. And that is the matter of joy for him as well as to those people. This explanation is given by Shukadeva to Raja Parikshit. So the Sutra 22 told us, na tatra mahatma jnana vismriti apavada. Apavada means blemish. Na tatra, it is not there. Vismriti means forgetfulness. Mahatma jnana, the knowledge of the glorious nature of God. The blemish of forgetting the glorious nature of God was not there. Where? In Gopi's love. That means they always knew him to be supreme reality represented as a man, born as a man. I told you the shloka that day, and first two lines I explained. I did not explain the line third and fourth. Nakalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan, Akila Dehinam Antaratmadri, Saka Udeyivan Satvatam Kule, Vikana Sarthito Vishwaguptaye, Saka Udeyivan Satvatam Kule. Vikhanasa means Brahma. Brahma prayed to you for the protection of the world. And then you took a form as if apparently you were born in this family of the Sattvatas. That is what gopis are telling. So, there was never an absence of this knowledge. In any way, people may represent it, we are not worried. Because we are going by the original story given in Bhagavatam, narrated by Shukadeva. And basing upon that, Narada is telling us here that the absence of knowledge was never there. That is the 22nd Sutra. And 23rd, Tadvihinam Jaranam Iva. Tadvihinam, that means bereft of that knowledge. Bereft of that knowledge, it would have been like the love an unchaste woman feels for her paramour. What we call illegitimate love. She has an husband. but she feels towards somebody else a physical attraction. And so, this would have become like that. Attraction, and this was proved in that incident itself. Sri Krishna, to know their real nature, poked at them, challenged them. How you have come to a Parapurusha, a Purusha other than your husband? Para means other than. Gopis immediately replied, we have not come to any Parapurusha. We have come to the Parama Purusha, the supreme being of the world. Purusha has two meanings. One is he lives in this body and is perfect. Puri Shayanat Purnatvatva. Other meaning is that he lives in the whole world and is perfect. So, then we call him Parama Purusha. So, we have not come to any Parapurusha. We have come to the Parama Purusha. So, there was never an absence of the knowledge of Sri Krishna's divinity. Now, had that knowledge been absent, it would have been like the love physical. An unchaste woman feels for somebody other than her husband, her paramour, Jaranam, he says. That is the Sutra 23rd. How do you know that it was not like that? That he explains in 24. Nasti eva tasmin tat sukha sukhitvam. Tasmin means such a love which an unchaste woman physically feels for some other Purusha. This quality is absent there. What quality? Being happy in the beloved's happiness, not in one's own. Physical attraction is for your happiness. And the other's happiness is not considered at all. So long as I am happy, that is their love. So, that Sukha Sukhitam was not there. And this I explained last time by saying that when Krishna reappeared, when they felt sorry that his feet might have been being pricked by stones or thorns, when they felt his misery, then the Bhagavatkar will tell us that themselves become Krishna. And then there was no meaning in hiding. The purpose was served. The ego is washed out due to that pain which they felt due to supposed misery which Krishna is having. I hope I have cleared everything. So, second section of the first chapter is Bhakti Swarup. Second section is called Bhakti Lakshanani, how it appears in the life. Now we go to the third section of the first chapter. We are still dealing with the Bhakti Swarup. And Narada has a particular method here. And the name has been given here Bhakti Nirnay. Judgment about Bhakti. Now, the appearance of those sutras will be as if Narada is feeling that Bhakti is superior to other beings. Not at all. The very nature of it will revolt against the very nature of Narada Bhakti Sutra. Let me read, then we will understand. 25. Satu karma jnana yogebhyo api adhikatara. Satu. Where we got this word Satu? In the second sutra. Satu asmin parama prema rupa. Again this Satu has come. What does it mean? He is telling the real nature of bhakti as contrasted with so-called bhakti. This you have to understand. He is not comparing bhakti to jnana karma yoga. He is comparing the real bhakti with all so-called bhaktis. This is what the word Satu tells us. In the second sutra, he told us, keep aside your views of bhakti, here to mine. Same thing he is telling here. Many people do this tremendous big mistake. They read somewhere bhakti is superior, and whatever they are doing, that is bhakti. Bhakti is superior. Which bhakti? Whatever they are doing. This is total confusion and mistake they are making. Narada is telling the bhakti which I am telling, the real bhakti. How to know it is real bhakti? Not the ordinary bhakti or non-real bhakti. Sadhu. That is the meaning. Ordinary bhakti is not superior to karma jnana or yoga. Ordinary bhakti is the bhakti which we have. Narada classifies that as Gauni. Again and again telling you, it takes it after 56 sutra. Up to 55 sutra is talking of real bhakti. Sadhu. But that real bhakti is superior to karma, jnana and yoga. The word used by him is not superior, adhikatara. How to translate it in English? More plus, superior plus. You have to understand this properly. Karma, the path of karma, the path of jnana, the path of yoga are definitely paths to God. He is not finding fault there. They are superior to, adhika, than all the worldly things of this life. Maybe Gauni Bhaktis, maybe so-called Bhaktis, the path leading to God, maybe any path is greater, adhika. How we understand this? Here he uses the word adhikatara. You understand this point? That means the karma, jnana and yoga are adhika. That compared to anything which is not taking us to God. Compared to anything which is not taking us to God, the path of karma, jnana and yoga are superior definitely. It is more superior. Why? He will explain that. Now, what is karma? Karma is done primarily for chitta shuddhi. And when the chitta is shuddha, I am anticipating his next sutra and telling. When the chitta is shuddha, answer to Sritama, when the chitta is shuddha, then this bhakti grows. When the chitta is shuddha, the pull of magnet is felt by the needle. So, next let us take jnana. Now, jnana here, what we do, our consciousness is changing. I am taking real jnana, not theoretical jnana. Our consciousness is changing. And when it has sufficiently changed, we feel the pull. You understand? Narayan Rajesh Kumar, where jnana analysis, by analysis where we reach, God alone is true, nothing else is true. Are we not attracted to that God? Call it by any name you like, Brahman, Atman or anything. The supreme reality alone is real. World, nothing is real. Can we feel the attraction for the things of the world which are not real? Will we not feel tremendous attraction for that God who is the only reality? So, bhakti comes as a result of knowledge. Yoga, we have dealt with Patanjali Yoga tremendously. Let us take real yoga. Real yoga means trying to control or regulate the mind from the lower desires or lower activities of the mind to the higher activities. That is yoga. Suppose we are able to remove, neglect, nirodha of all the lower activities of life. Higher activity has started. In the higher activity, the pull of God is felt. Higher activity, now in Patanjali there was no God, only a Purusha like us believe that. The supreme reality from which we are being pulled away by our lower desires, if we have checked or controlled or regulated the lower desires, the upper, I remember suddenly one incident. In Rishikesh, I was there in 1978-79, just exploring what is Rishikesh. I was traveling here and there. I saw a signboard almost outside Rishikesh, Vitthal Ashram. So I thought that maybe from Maharashtra some sadhus are there. So I entered there in the office. It was a lodge. It was a place for devotees from Maharashtra coming and staying there. It was sadhus were not there. Anyway, so I sat with the manager. The manager told me, remember, in 1978, the manager of almost a lodge or an inn tells me, Swami, have you marked one thing? I said, what? In Rishikesh, the lower half of desires of man do not function. I still remember that statement. Today, Rishikesh is spoiled, I will say. Nonsense things are happening and people are going there. But that manager told me in 1978, a grihastha, he is telling me, Swami, have you observed that in Rishikesh, the lower half of man's desire do not work? Only the upper half works. When the upper half works, what will happen? Pull to God is surely felt. So this yoga, what is yoga? Method of psychic control. So psychic control is controlling the lower desires or instincts in the mind. When they are controlled, what will happen? The higher thought will come and we'll feel definitely the love of God. Now, I have told you the 26. I read 25, and to explain that 25, I have told you 26. 25 is Sadhu. Sadhu means the real bhakti as differentiated from the Gauni bhaktis, non-real bhaktis. How it is different from them? They are not directly paths to God. A lot of corrections will have to be made in them to bring it to the path of God. So he is defining, distinguishing the real bhakti from the other bhakti. He is not comparing and telling bhakti is better than this. And as I told you, this is such a general mistake done by the bhaktas. Bhakti is superior and anything which arises in their mind is bhakti. Such a bhakti is not superior. So one has to understand properly, read between the lines, read the words correctly, find the connections. Satu, which appeared in the second sutra, has reappeared here. And Satu distinguish real bhakti from other bhaktis. So here also, Sadhu is distinguishing real bhakti from other bhaktis. And what is the difference? There he told Asmin Parama Prema Rupa. Here he is telling Karma Jnana Yogebhyo Api Adhikatara. He accepts that Karma Jnana and Yoga as paths to God are definitely superior than anything, lower bhakti or anything, which are not paths to God. But this is more superior, Adhikatara. Why? We ask him how and why. He replies in the 26th, Phalarupatvat. That is what I was telling you up till now. Phalarupatvat. That means the phala of karma is real bhakti. The phala of jnana is real bhakti. The phala of yoga is the real bhakti. Real bhakti being the phala, resultant of the paths of karma, jnana and yoga. Therefore, it is more superior. This is Narada is telling us. So by this again and again, because it is I have included it in the first chapter, when we were in the school, any subject being dealt, there used to be compare and contrast. So compare and contrast is a method of finding the real nature of a thing, not to tell this is superior, that is superior. If Narada tells and need not repeat, it is superior than this, it will be against the spirit of Narada. So, you understand now? And I told you one thing from the beginning. This real bhakti is directly derived from the very nature of God. It does not come from mind of man. It does not come from buddhi of man. Nature of God. That is declared in Amrita Sarupacha. The real nature of bhakti is nothing but Advaita. Real nature of bhakti is nothing but that joy which never goes. Real bhakti is nothing but the Ananda Sarup Bhagwan. So from his nature, what happens? Self-centripetence. A pull is given, felt. Mind is pure, the pull is felt. What we do wrongly, when little pull is felt, mind is not that much pure. So we say we are loving God. I clearly remember here, we cannot love God unless God is pulling us continuously. God is pulling us continuously. All the shadows are always being pulled towards the reality. When the mind is somewhat pure, that love is felt. But our mind is a reflector, virtual image. So we feel I am loving God. All the great people have told us, when we feel God is loving us, then the real love has started. When we feel God is loving us, there is no stopping in our progress. And that is what Narada was proposing for his bhakti. Narada has told us, Asmin Parama Prema Rupa. When we feel there is a tremendous pull which will take us beyond all the obstacles, then that is the bhakti Narada is proposing. So, from the nature of God, the automatic result is bhakti. Anybody, let him be Jnana Yogi or any yogi, if he has understood, if he has known anything about the nature of God, he will feel bhakti. I will, little aside, I will tell you, we read in the Gospel again and again that jnanis have no avatar, jnanis have no bhakta. Their jnanis means it is not describing full jnanis, remember. Jnani is a mold of the mind, which is bent upon analysis, analysis, analysis. Now, where to get example of jnanis? I think Shankaracharya is accepted by everybody as the peak of the jnani. And Shankaracharya's bhakti is tremendous. There was a conversation once. The Mahapurush Maharaj is there, and a brahmachari of the mission is there, and one outside scholar is there. That outside scholar is telling that because Shankar went in for Advaita and knowledge, bhakti has not been developed in him. The brahmachari tells it is not so. See his stotras, you will understand. After the scholar went away, Mahapuruji told him, my boy, you have told correctly. His reasoning was different. He said, Shankar is an avatari Purush, and avatari Purush cannot remain without bhakti. So what you told is correct. There is sufficient bhakti in Shankaracharya. Now let us go to still higher authority. Shankara's Parama Guru, Shankara's Guru's Guru is Gaudpadacharya. And Gaudpadacharya is supreme Jnani. Now, when he ends his treatise, the 100th Karika of the Alata Shanti Prakran, the last sloka of his treatise, what he says? Durdarsham Adigambiram Ajam Samyam Visharadam Budva Padam Ananatam Namaskurmo Yathavadam. After having realized that there is no difference anywhere in the world, I want to bow down to that reality. So in the great Jnanis, the bhakti comes at that highest point. Their bhakti is not like our bhakti. Now, there, in explaining that in Shankar's commentary, he has commented upon the words. But the real commentary of the spirit of that, Shankar has composed 3 more shlokas there. I am tempted to chant, I will not. Ajamapi Jani Yogam. In the first shloka, he says that Brahma, which is beyond everything, Pranata Bhaya Vendru Brahma Yattannatosmi. Those who bow down to Brahman, he Brahman graces them. Brahman removes the fear of those who bow down to them, and to that Brahman I bow down. Second shloka, he does it for Gaudpad himself. Paramaguru Mamum Pada Patairnatos. That Paramaguru of mine, I fall down at his feet and bow down to him. And the third is about his own Guru, Govindapad. He says, Sarva Bhavair Namaste. All the bhavas in me, with them I bow down to him. That is the real commentary on the last karik of Alata Shanti Brethren. Because Gaudpad has said, after realizing the Ananatva, I bow down to that reality. Shankar has bowed down to 3. That reality, Gaudpad himself and his Guru. Now I am reminded here of one more thing. I talked of Shankar and his Paramaguru. Now his Guru, Govindapad, I have known recently, some years back, the tradition. After giving knowledge to Shankaracharya, his Guru Govindapad wants him that your work is to write commentaries on all the Upanishads. Now you are received Jnana, but I want to see whether you are capable of writing a commentary, because that requires a special technique. The first book he gave him was Vishnu Sahasranam, remember. Towards the end of Mahabharata, there is a treatise called Vishnu Sahasranam, 1,000 names of Vishnu. I am not going to the history of that. Anyway, I'll have to tell a little. Arjuna's delusion was removed by Krishna. Arjuna fought. Yudhishthir was never deluded. But after the war was over, Yudhishthir saw 18 Akshohini widows. And then he felt such a tremendous remorse. Depressed totally. I don't want to rule this kingdom which consists of 18 Akshohini widows. Now Krishna took Yudhishthir as his elder brother, always. He was elder. So he thought, I will not teach him. Bhishmacharya was lying on the bed of arrows. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna knew Bhishmacharya is a storehouse of knowledge. And when he dies, that knowledge will vanish from the world. So he told the Pandavas, let us go to Bhishmacharya and ask him questions. He told Yudhishthir, let you go there. Then Yudhishthir asked certain questions to Bhishmacharya. And Bhishmacharya very nicely reminded him what is the duty of a king, what is the duty of a common man. So all sorts of dharmas he explained. At the end, Yudhishthir asked him, okay, I am ready to rule the kingdom now, I understood. But I ask you one more question. Actually, 6 questions are there. You tell me about bhakti, then I will do my kingdom. How I will get bhakti, you please tell me. Bhishmacharya tells him, I will tell you 1,000 names of God. And if you chant those 1,000 names, you will get bhakti. So that is called Vishnu Sahasranam. And Shankara's Guru Govindapad gave him that book to do commentary first. And Shankara did that. We just finished that class in K3, day before yesterday. So Guru was satisfied. Then Shankaracharya commented upon Upanishad. That is the tradition, it is known thing. So Govindapad also is a Bhakta. Where to find a non-Bhakta Jnani? His half Jnanis, only they may not be Bhakta. Anyway, so we understood now, Karma Jnana Yuga Bhyopi Adhikatara Phalarupatvat. Phalarup has seen in Godpad. In Jnana's Phal is Bhakti. Now, Phalarupatvat. Now the next sutra, 27, nature of God. 27 will tell us the nature of God and how nature of God itself leads to real bhakti. And it has very little carefully handled the words. Ishwarasya api abhimana dveshitvat dainya priyatvat cha. Api means another reason. One reason phalarupatvat, another reason. Ishwarasya api, the very nature of God is such that abhimana dveshitvat, he hates anybody's ego. It means ego will not allow the bhakti. So the very nature of God does not allow, you may say, the ego of a man. The conclusion is that you have to do bhakti. As soon as your ego subsides, nothing but bhakti comes in you. And dainya priyatva, that you have to understand properly. Dainya means, literally it means lowliness. He likes lowliness. I will explain this only by example, you understand. Now, among Sri Ramakrishna's disciples, there was a great disciple called Nag Maharshi. And always in his mouth he used to say, I am nothing, I am nothing, I am nothing, I am nothing. There was another disciple, Girish Chandra Ghosh. And to him Thakur had taught this to general, everybody. Those who say I am Baddha will remain Baddha. Those who say I am Papi will remain Papi. One should say, I am devotee of God. I am not Papi. I am devotee of God. I am Mukta. So this had become Girish's habit or Girish's nature. When Girish heard, Nag Maharshi tells, I am nobody, then he expressed to friends, will Nag Maharshi not inculcate some demerit or mistake? Because Sri Ramakrishna has told, one who says I am Papi will remain Papi. Now this news went to Nag Maharshi that Girish Babu was talking like this. First he said, oh, Girish was talking, let me think. And then after thinking, he said, no fault will come to me. Sri Ramakrishna has told me, those who speak truth, no fault can come to them. I am speaking the truth. I am nobody. I am none. You have to understand this. Nag Maharshi is not telling I am Papi or what other thing, I am Baddha. He is telling I am nobody. No, I am nobody and God is everything. There is no difference between this. So this Dainya one has to understand. Dainya does not mean what can I do, what can I do, what can I do. There is a funny story on what can I do. Somebody went to an ashrama, wants to become the disciple. Then the Guru said that you have to learn lessons. Can I learn lessons? I'm not fit for learning lessons. Okay, you clean my books and keep properly. How can I touch your books? Okay, then you clean my sandals, chappals. Can I touch your sandals? Then the Guru says, all right, go and take food now. Yes, Maharaj, I will go and take food. And this type of dhyana is not necessary. So the Sadhar and Vaishnavas, I am not criticizing them, have got this habit. I am lowly, I am lowly, I am lowly. That is not dhyana. What the Bhakta Shiromani, up till now I have seen some Jnana Shiromani. What the Bhakta Shiromani Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told. Trunadapi Sunichena, Taroriva Saishnana, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtanaya Sadahari. Who will do Hari Kirtan always? One who is lower than the blade of grass. Are we? Do we feel ourselves lower than the blade of grass? So it comes back to Nagmashay only. Because why is lower than the blade of grass? Blade of grass is a manifestation of God. So I am the worshipper of God. So that is the dhyana we should understand. Ishvara's nature, he says, is such that he does not tolerate ego, and that I have told you is Kabira's couplet. प्रेम गलियति साकरी दूजो नाही समाय आप है तो हरि नहीं हरि है तो नहीं आप. The lane of love is very narrow. Two cannot stay there. If you are there, God is not there. If God is there, you are not there. Again, Kavira's another couplet. कबीरा खड़ा बाजारा में लिए लुकाटी हाथ जो घर फूके अपना चले हमारे साथ. Kabira is standing in the marketplace with a lighted torch. And he says, those who are ready to burn their house, come with me. That means absolute tyaga is required for path of God. Anyway, so this is the nature of God. He does not like the ego obstructing the man. And therefore, God himself will do everything to crush that ego. And then Priyatva, he likes a person to feel he is zero. Ramakrishna's disciple Mahapurush Maharaj has told, if you want to become Purna, become a zero. Shunya. If you become Shunya, you will become Purna. So this I is not real. That is the meaning of both these. Abhimana Deshitvat and Janya Priyatvat. The meaning is that this apparent I has to be given up. So that is the nature of God. Therefore, it is superior to Karma Jnana Yoga. Because karma one does, I am doing karma. Jnana I am getting. Yoga I am controlling. So this I not being there, bhakti is superior. Now, #28. So Narada apparently compared with karma, jnana and yoga, apparently compared to show by contrast that the real bhakti is of this type. Now, jnana is very near bhakti, one should understand. Karma and yoga are distant paths, you may say. Jnana and bhakti are very near each other. And so, the interrelation between jnana and bhakti is his next topic. And he says in 28, Tasya jnanam eva sadhanam iti eke. Eke means one type of philosophers say that jnana is the only sadhana of bhakti. He's not criticizing them because plenty of evidence we'll find in the Gita itself. Gita 7th chapter, 9th chapter, apparently they are Jnana chapters. And the result is Bhakti. So, Sri Ramakrishna told somebody, he said, I don't want Jnana. He says, if you do not know this man, how will you feel attraction? So Jnana is the only sadhana of bhakti, is supported by Gita like anything. In the end also, in the 18th chapter, when he has got Jnana, Aham Brahmasmi, then Parabhakti is born in him, God will tell us. So, Jnana is the sadhana of bhakti, has a big support in the Gita and in public. Okay. Now there is other side. Anyonya Shredvam iti anne. The other side tells Jnana and Bhakti are based upon each other. If Jnana is the other of Bhakti, Bhakti is the other of Jnana. Unless you love God, how will you try to change yourself? It is Bhakti which leads to Jnana. It is Jnana which leads to Bhakti. So they are a Paraspara Ashraya. They are mutually supporting each other. Then he gives the opinion of his Guru. It is a settled method among the philosophers or Vedantis. In the case of a debate, refer to your Guru. Don't put your opinion. Gaudapad in the Mandukya Karika, Alata Shanti Prakaran, has prayed to his Parama Guru, God in the form of Narayana, who did tapasya in Bhadrakashi. So, Narada here, to resolve this problem between Jnana and Bhakti, refers to his Guru. Somewhere this sutra is translated really wrongly. They say it refers to Narada. No. I will read the sutra. Swayam phala rupata iti brahma kumaraha. Plural. Now you know, in Indian languages, plural is used for showing respect to somebody. Actually, it is one only, singular. But to show respect to somebody, plural is used. Now in English, you see, thou has gone, you has become. You is showing respect. Now, Brahma Kumaraha. Now, Brahma Kumara, Brahma had 4 sons, we say, Manasaputras, who were great teachers, who were great yogis, who were great jnanis. He is not referring to all 4 of them also. This plural is only as respect. And we remember, Narada has learned all his knowledge from Sanat Kumar in the Chandogya Upanishad. So here, a dispute like has arisen. Jnana is other of Bhakti or Bhakti is other of Jnana or Parashraya. He says, let us hear what my Guru Sanat Kumar has told. He says, Swayam Phala Rupata. Phala Rupatvat is different, please, and Swayam Phala Rupata is different. Phala Rupata means the result of karma, jnana and yoga were bhakti. Here, both jnana and bhakti are their own seeds and own fruits. Brahmakumara is telling, why discuss what is the ashraya of other or what is based upon the other? Both are same and they are the fruits of themselves. You understand this point? A little jnana grows, ankurita, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and we get the result. We don't require anything else. A little bhakti grows, real bhakti. Then it goes on growing and we get the result. We do not require anything else. This sutra I want to take again tomorrow because a lot of examples Narada is given here and they are all from the books on Vedanta, mind you. In this Bhakti Sutras, for this supporting this Swayam Phala Rupata, he has given certain examples which are found only in the books of Vedanta. So we'll take that later on. So we understood now. We have discussed today the previous section, and in this new section called the Bhakti Nirnaya, man means determining what is Bhakti, and he has used this comparison with the other paths and said that in comparison to the other path, the real Bhakti is their fruit. And the real Bhakti is derived directly from the nature of God. And then he says, Jnana is the ashraya of Bhakti. Bhakti is the ashraya of Jnana. To resolve this apparent conflict, there is no conflict. To resolve this apparent conflict, he appeals to his Guru and says, my Guru has told, whether it is Jnana or Bhakti, they are themselves the root and themselves the fruit. This we shall take up next time. Om Jayati Jagati Mayam Yasya Kaya Dhavaste Vachana Rachanamekam Kevalam Chakalaya Dhrupadamapi Yato Yakrupato Dhruvoyam Sakala Kushala Patram Brahmaputram Natosmi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna.